We're now in Dcad lesson 21B. We're bouncing back to the 21 lessons because we're dealing with structure. So what I want to do is address some of the wall bracing issues, specifically the main floor overhead garage door wall. There was some question as to whether or not that would work for prescriptive wall bracing requirements, and initially I didn't think it would, but I looked at it a little more closely and found that it probably will. So what we're going to do is we're going to address that during this lesson, but before we do that, there's some housekeeping chores we need to do. So this is where we've been. We need to go down to, what I'm going to do is I'm going to move some of our old layers. I'm going to hit L for layers, because layer 1 is already there. That's our garage plan. So I'm just going to double click on that so you can see it and then hide everything else. And but we need to move that into 101 for existing layers. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit L for layers, and let's see. I want to show active or name layers. Only is all I really need to look at. So I'm just going to right click on layer 1 and move highlighted layers, and it gives me the warning, and type in 101 and hit enter. 2 and right click on it, move highlighted layers, yes, and 102, okay. And then 3, right click on that, move highlighted layers, yes, and then type in 103 and hit enter. And 4 for the fixtures, right click on that, move highlighted layers, yes, and 104, click OK. Now we can go down and make 101 our current active layer, hide all, and what I want to do is I want to go ahead and select that layer, select highlighted layers, and then also I want to make layer 20 active. Okay, Control W and then Z for zoom, and zoom over here, and I'm going to call it my info box. And I'm going to use the little finger pointer thing there and click on that. So I got my little finger there, and floor plan existing walls. I'm going to go ahead and click on that, and that'll turn my walls to those colors. You just see the color change right there, and also to that line weight. Okay, Control W. So now I'm going to call up layer 103, and because that's my exterior openings, and click OK. And I'm gonna select that entire enchilada, that whole layer. I might as well just select the whole thing. Right click on it and select highlighted layer. Click OK. Now there's some things I don't want to change the color of, some text and stuff. So I'm just gonna hold down Shift and unselect those both attributes and text for the various doors and windows. So those have all been turned off. Also, this is a very thin door line. I don't want that to be changed at all, at least not yet. And I'm going to scroll over here and zoom up on this window, because we have some rather small grids that I don't want to change. So I'm unselecting those, Control W. But everything else, and you can see our other door over here, including the windows and all that stuff, is good to go. So now I'm going to hit Z for zoom, and zoom back up over here and use my finger selector and click on floor plan existing fixtures, that line, and you'll see that this box turned to a gray color. And then what I also want to do is I want to change that color to my active color. So I'm going to click over here in the color toolbox and just click on that finger pointer and bring it over here and click on it, and you can see that the red just over here turned to that particular gray. Control W. So what I want to do now is click this little guy and change it to that color by hit A for apply over there in the color toolbox, and hit zoom, Z for zoom, and select these green lines that are my grid lines and also apply it to those. So now we're all gray and good. So now what we need to do, I can go ahead and get rid of the lines, layer 20. I don't need that up anymore. Scroll up here, turn it off. Now I want to go to my wall bracing, main floor wall bracing specifically, and all I'm really going to be dealing with right now today is that braced wall line that deals right here with a garage door, overhead garage door. So I'm going to make that my current active layer, and Click OK. So I'm hit Control F9. Hang on just a second. So I'm hitting Control F9, and I'm already in the symbols there. I can go up one layer and you can see some of the other symbols folders there, but I want to be in the Sim folder in that one. Double click it to open it up, and I'm going to look for wall bracing grid. And since it starts with a W for wall, it's going to be down near the bottom, and wall brace grid 25. So I click on that. I can tell that's my grid. I've seen it before. Click OK. Kind of just stick it up over here somewhere, and then explode it. So because we only have 4 walls in this garage, we only really need 4 braced wall lines. So it means I'm going to zoom up a little closer so you can see these a little better. MA, MB, MC are running up and down. M1 and then M2 and so on and so forth are take care of our horizontal lines. Control W. So I'm just going to get rid of MC. We don't need that. Hit delete, and I'm going to select this one. And delete, hit that. So then we'll go ahead and move these into position. And I'm going to hit Z for zoom. Just zoom up here and select an MA and a line. And I'm going to set a handle that's 4 feet down from this point right here. Gravity move. And I'm going to go 0 minus 4. Wow, looks like I've been there before. And hit M to move that whole enchilada. And right click down here at the outside corner there. Now I'm going to do the same thing with MB. Select it, hold down Shift, select my line, set a handle, gravity move, set selection handle, and it's still my -4, so I can do that. Hit M to move it, and right click here at the corner. And there we are. MA and MB are set. Now I'm going to do M1. And hold down Shift and select a line and set a handle here, and right click, and oh, that's not where I want my handle. What am I thinking? Try that again. I'll set my handle there and right click and gravity move using the comma, and then go 4, and then get and the Y I want 0. And now I can set my handle and hit M, and right click at this corner. It sets it right down there on that exterior corner. And then we'll do the same thing with M2, the one we're really interested in. And I hold down Shift and select a line, go to set selection handle, come over here and gravity move using a comma, and I'm already set at 4 on the Y distance, so hit that and hit it again. Now I can set my handle and hit M for move and right click there. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to just take these 2 vertical lines, and actually I'll do the horizontals first. And select both those endpoints, hit H for orthogonal mode, and just come straight on down and gravity move using the comma, and then I want 4. There we are. And then these guys I'm going to do the same thing with. I'm selecting both of these lines and selecting both the endpoints, and I'm still in orthogonal mode, you can see. And I'm going to bring it all the way up and gravity move. This time I want 0 in the X and -4 in the Y. And so there we are. And later on, we'll be adding more stuff to the wall bracing plan, actually showing where the braced wall panels are and all of that. But at this point in time, this just helps us designate where those braced wall lines are, so we can kind of sort them out and determine which ones we're dealing with. So here you can see braced wall line M1 horizontal, M2 is at the one we're interested in right now, MA and MB and MB. So we have our brace wall lines designated now for the lower floor. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to call up a spreadsheet, and this is our brace wall line spreadsheet. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to click on this and hit File, New, my templates, and go down to BWL Calc Sheet. That stands for Brace Wall Line Calc Sheet. I'm going to go ahead and open that up. Just double click it. See, there's all kinds of stuff here, right? Okay, black boxes are stuff that are boxes or cells that you can put something in, and sometimes if it's an active one, it won't look black. But if I move my cursor over to another one, you can see it turns black. And then the ones that don't have black boxes around them, they're going to be they will be filled out. They'll be populated by the spreadsheet itself. Either that or they can be left blank in some cases, and I'll explain that as we go along. We may not get that far on this one, but we'll see how far we can get today with this lesson. So first thing I'm going to do now is I'm going to save this. Because right now it's just called BWL Calc Sheet 1. So I want to save it as File, Save As, and I want to save it in my wall bracing subfolder. I'm in D0604. Structural, calcs, and all the way down to wall bracing. And you see I have temp in there. That was from a previous investigation into this one. Kind of leads me to believe it'll work. So I'm going to go here and click in the very front of this and call it D0604 M2 space brace wall line calc sheet 1, and then save. And you can see it's given it this nice new name up here. So for our job code is D0604. Hit enter. Date is 11/5/18. But that'll populate itself. Brace wall line is M2. Bracing method. Okay, so we have to select a bracing method. So I'm going to hover. When I hover over you see these little red corners. That means that there's a comment in that cell. So I can, like for the M2, brace wall line, if I hover over that, it just tells me enter brace wall line designation. M1 equals main floor, brace wall line 1, so on and so forth. It explains what to do. So for the bracing method, if I hover over that, it lists out all the bracing methods that we can use prescriptively in the code. And this one is going to be, I can't really point to it down here because it disappears once I leave the cell, but it's going to be down here in this CS section. Don't ask. Anyway, the CS stands for continuously sheathed. And this particular one that we're using is continuously sheathed wood structural panels. And so that's what the WSP stands for. So it's CSWSP. So it's CS-WSP. And that's our bracing method. So I go down to the next one, and the next one, what's our brace wall line length? And if I click here, our brace wall line length for M2, I just hit V for vector, and I can right click here, and I can just come on over to here and gravity move, and I can look up here in the coordinate bar and see that it's 24 feet. When I do it, gravity move, and it's 24. Okay, or I could just do a dimension for that matter. So our brace wall line length is 24. So I'm going to open that back up. So type in 24. And then the next one is brace wall line spacing. And again, it'll show you these little comments will tell you what tables or what information to look for in the code itself. So our brace wall line spacing, basically we're talking about brace wall lines that are parallel with the one we're interested in. So our brace wall line spacing, we're going to look at our drawing again and and I'm just going to dimension this one this time. Just hit the dimension, and we can see it's 22 feet. Hit Control Z to get rid of it. So I can go back here and type in 22. And spacing is okay. We haven't, if it's over 25 feet, it's not going to work. Number of braced wall lines, and they're interested in what braced wall lines that are, including the one we're interested in, and also any that are parallel with it. So we only have two, the front wall and the back wall. Type in 2, hit enter. Next one is whether or not we have any offsets from the designated braced wall line. And the code allows us to have braced wall lines that aren't actually there, sort of. They're designated. And so you can have a designated line that runs between two and parallel with two braced wall lines that are have no more than a 4-foot offset from our braced wall line, or an 8-foot total offset. In other words, you have your designated imaginary braced wall line, and you can have a real braced wall line 4 feet on the left and also another one 4 feet on the right. And because they're no longer, each one is no more than 4 feet offset, and the total offset is no more than 8 feet, so that makes it okay. In this case, we don't have any offsets because our exterior walls are the braced wall lines, so we're just going to type a maximum offset from the designated braced wall line. That's 0. So that's okay. And total offset from designated braced wall line is 0 also. So now we're going over here to the other section of our wind speed, 120 for Jackson County. That's in, you see in the code, you'd look at figure R301.24. And our seismic design category is D1. And our story, it says, and we hover over it, it tells you, enter story number. So we'll click there and enter 1. It's the bottom story. And here, enter total number of stories, and we have 2 stories, so I type in 2 there, and we're good to go on that. So, moving right along, the code deals with wind first. And basically, it deals, we have to do separate calculations for each braced wall line that deal with both wind and seismic considerations. So, right off the get-go, the wind portion of it wants us to enter in spacing and length of lines. And again, whenever you see these little red corners, you can hover over there and it'll tell you what to enter. So so here you can see it's table R602.10.31, and enter the spacing less. So our spacing is 22 feet. It says so right here because it's populated it from this where we entered our braced wall line spacing up above. So it's brought it down and said it's 22 feet. So we got to take a look at that table. And so let me call that up and let's see, go up to that table. Okay, here we are. 10.3 R602.10.31, and we want our wind speed is 120 miles per hour. And here we are, and here's the configuration we want. We're the second story down from the top story. Basically, this is our configuration right here. And way over here, we see our CSWSP method, our continuously sheathed wood structural panel. And so since we're 22 feet, the number less would be 20 right here, and its factor is 7. So I'm going back over here, and I'm typing 20 in here, and then hit Tab, and type in 7, and then hit Enter. And then here we type in enter braced wall line spacing more. And as I remember, that's 30 feet. So let's go back to the table in the code. And here's 20 feet, and here's 30 feet, because we're 22. We're sort of, not in the middle, but in between them. So at 30 feet, our factor is 9.5. So we'll go back to my spreadsheet and type in here. I'm going to type 30. And then hit Tab and 9.5. And you can see that it's populated this. Our actual bracing length required is 7.5 feet. That's before adjustment factors. So here, down below here, you can see where we have wind adjustment factors, and there's like 7 of them. We don't have to necessarily enter all of them in. I mean, there may be factors that that don't really apply sometimes. But we have to at least address them all, in the code and see what they say. And again, those little red corners will give us comments that'll tell us what to enter in. So you can see, and they change depending on what cell you're hovering over. So here our first wind adjustment factor is exposure category and story supporting. So whatever the heck that means. So adjustment for number of stories and wind exposure category under table R602.10.32. So that's our wind adjustment factor. So let's go back to the code and scroll on down till we find our 602.10.32. Here we are, wind adjustment factors, and we see we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, just like in our spreadsheet over here. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So first off, and a lot of these you have to go into the interpolation sheet. And so our second sheet down here is an interpolation worksheet. We also have a worksheet for to calculate wall bracing length, and one and wall weights worksheet. because all those things end up being entered into this guy. So in this one, and it gives you information here, we're exposure category and story supporting. So we're 1B. We're supporting one story. So 2B or 3 adjustment factor, it's all one. So basically, actually, I think this would be 2. So let me look and see if I can sort that out in the code. Okay, one story structure. Oh, I see. Story supporting. If it's a one-story structure, 2-story structure, or a 3-story structure. So this would be, for us, it would be 2B. And again, it won't really have a factor in it because they're all have an adjustment factor of 1. But anyway, we'll get it right. So let's just put in a 2. And that 1 stays true, so we don't have to do anything on that. Roof eave to ridge height. Okay, so that's just dealing with the roof eave. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit Control W on our drawing here, and I'm going to go to Layers, and I'm going to call up one of our elevation drawings, 45. That's our front elevation. That'll tell us. Click OK. So from the eave, right here, I hit V from here, from the eave to the ridge, and gravity move, and I can see up here my coordinate bar what the actual feet decimal is, and it looks like 4.3333. That would be 4'4", I believe. And so Control W. So I'm going to go back to my spreadsheet and type that value in, and that is 4. Oops, be getting the right cell. 4.12343. Okay, and that. So see if we need to do. We can use the interpolation worksheet. So that means we'll have to go to the code to see what this one needs to be. So in order to do that, I'm going to go back to the code here, and this is item 2 in the adjustment factor. So go back to the code here, and item 2. So roof only, roof plus 1 floor, and that's us. So the conditions as far as our roof ridge eave height, if it's less or equal to 5 feet, then it's 0.85. So this one is actually sort of a no-brainer. Let me get back over here. So because this is less than our minimum, so it's going to be 0.85. So I can just type in 0.85 there. I'm good. Okay, and then number 3 is wall height adjustment. So our wall heights, let's go here to make sure. Let's hit L for layers to our drawing and go down to call up layer 88, which is our wall heights layer. Click OK, and our wall heights are, from bottom of the bottom plate or floor sheeting or whatever to the top of the top plate. So if I hit V for vector and right click and then gravity move to there, you can see I have 8.0625. It's 8 foot 3/4 of an inch basically. So hit escape, go back to our spreadsheet and type in wall height adjustment, and it gives you here the various adjustment factors for the heights. And again, we can use our interpolation spreadsheet. So I'm going to type in 8.0625, and we'll use our interpolation spreadsheet on this one. So this is going to be, this is item 3. So I'm in interpolation spreadsheet. I'm going to actually call that as wind 3. So wind 3. And in our smaller base number. So let me go to the code real quick, or actually I can go back to our calc sheet. It tells me also. So this basically says 8 feet is 0.90 and 9 feet is 0.95. So go back to our interpolation spreadsheet and 8 tab 0.90 or 9. And we're 8.0625 for our actual one. And then at 9 feet, it was, I can't remember, let me go back. I think it was, let's see, remember, great wall height adjustment. is 0.95, correct. Okay, go there and 0.95. So it's given us it's broke it out at 0.90 basically. It's so close to 8 feet is kind of silly. So it's 0.90 is our factor. So I can copy that if I want. Copy, and so I don't make any typos if I want. And number, let's see, baseball. So and here I'm just going to paste it in. Okay, number of brace wall lines, we have 2, and that's been populated by our information we filled in earlier. So that's all good. Additional 800-pound hold down device, we're not doing that, so we'll just leave that one. Interior gypsum board finish. So that means we need to see the table there, and that's basically affects things. Only use if gypboard is omitted from inside face of braced wall line panels. If so, enter 1.40. Boy, that's a pretty big hit. So we did sheetrock, put gypsum board on the inside of the garage, so we have that, so we don't have to address that one either. And gypsum board fastening. We didn't. You can actually, if you get kind of crazy with the nails or screws, if they're on 4-foot centers at panel edges, including top and bottom plates and all that, you pick up an advantage of it goes down to 0.7. So and we could always add more screws to the sheetrock, but the bottom line is if we look at it just as it is right now, we're way under our 8 feet that we need. Right now, wind is 5.76 feet of total bracing along that wall line. So we're good to go with wind. So this is getting kind of lengthy. so we're gonna conclude our wall bracing lesson at this point in time, and next week we'll deal with seismic. So that concludes Dcad lesson 21B, structure, specifically dealing with wall bracing.